Be honest. Lately, you've been carrying a quiet, lingering exhaustion. You watch everyone else rushing forward, and part of you just wants to stand perfectly still and quit. You have been carrying the weight of your responsibilities and your worries alone for a long time. Sustaining that kind of load in isolation inevitably drains your physical and emotional reserves. When the tank hits empty, the mind suggests that walking away is the only way to find relief. You start to believe that stopping is the only thing that will make the pressure go away. But look at the anatomy of a harvest. There is always a significant time interval between planting a seed and reaping a result. Galatians 6:9 identifies this specific middle ground as the place where people become weary. On this timeline, exhaustion isn't a sign that the process has failed. It's a sign that the process is currently in motion. The promise in the text is that if the fatigue doesn't stop the work, the harvest arrives on schedule. The weariness exists because you have been doing good long enough to reach the final stretch before the breakthrough. Burnout usually happens when we try to carry the entire structural load of our lives without outside support. We treat our energy like an infinite resource, pushing past every natural warning sign. Your deep exhaustion marks your physical and emotional limit as a human being. Reaching this point is a biological reality of your limitations, rather than a sign of spiritual defeat. This experience is universal. Even history's most resilient leaders reached the point where they could no longer sustain the pace. Take the prophet Elijah in 1 Kings 19. He had just finished the greatest spiritual victory of his life, calling down fire from heaven and single-handedly turning an entire nation back to God. This chart tracks his resilience. After the sharp peak of victory, you see a sheer cliff drop. A single threat sent him into a downward spiral. He hit the absolute baseline of his endurance, sat under a tree, and told God he had enough. Despite his previous miracles, his internal tank was empty. He was discouraged, isolated, and completely ready to walk away from his calling. If a prophet like Elijah was not immune to extreme burnout, your current desire to quit is a standard human response to high-pressure environments. Pay attention to how God responds to this crash. There is no condemnation, no yelling, and no demand for Elijah to try harder or have more faith. God addresses the physical needs first. He allows Elijah to sleep. He provides food. Then, and only then, he speaks to him in a gentle whisper to restore his spirit. The pressure you feel right now is intense, uncomfortable, and relentless, but its function is shaping your endurance. The pressure is not meant to destroy you, but to refine you. Resistance often intensifies right before a breakthrough because the final steps of any significant growth require the most effort. The hardest part of the climb is usually the final few feet to the summit. Feeling the urge to give up does not mean you are alone in the struggle or that God has moved on to someone else. This fatigue is actually the signal to stop relying on your own strength and start relying deeply on God's. Isaiah 40:31 offers a practical mechanism for recovery. It says, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength." We can model two energy cycles: left, self-generated strength, a closed loop that runs dry; right, divine strength, an open, continuous flow. Stop manufacturing your own energy. Let the closed loop run dry to plug into a source that never depletes. This is exactly what Jesus modeled in the Garden of Gethsemane on the night before the cross. He was honest about his limits, saying his soul was overwhelmed with sorrow. He felt the full weight of the pressure you are currently experiencing. He didn't quit, but he didn't just push through. Instead, he surrendered. He placed the weight of the moment into the hands of the Father. Maybe you don't need to give up on your dreams, your family, or your work. Maybe you just need to give the burden to God. God isn't asking for more effort today. He is asking for deeper trust. Keep going, because He is not finished with you yet.